Good morning, everyone. My name is Vinesh Sukumaran, and I will be taking you through this webinar. We're just starting about 2 minutes late because we were waiting for some of our participants to join. And those of you who have just joined, could you please mute yourselves? And I will be talking to you. You can hear me through your speakers or your audio system or earphones. Uh, and if you have any questions to ask, you can ask me through the chat screen. Okay, and I will be happy to answer them. Okay, so let's begin. For those of you who are, since most of you on this webinar are pretty new to Bodhi and have not attended any of our workshops, I understand, and there are some of you who have, or who have, a direct reference from somebody who's attended our workshops. Uh, so I'd like to very quickly just tell you about who Bodhi is and what we do, okay, and what Bodhi is up to these days. Secondly, I'd like to dive straight away into the master trainer certification, and some aspects about the master trainer and why should trainers take up the master trainer. Next, I'd like to talk about taking your life and work to the next level as a master trainer. Also, how master trainer certification can be used to clear certain knocks in your life. And we will also look. I mean, I understand that all of you have blocked your time to be here, and I really appreciate that. So I would like to say a few things about in terms of tools and tricks of master trainers. In fact, right from this part of the program, you will be learning several of those tools and techniques. But I'd like to go a little bit deeper, and then you can ask me questions in the end. In fact, you do not have to wait till the end to ask me questions. If you do have a question somewhere in between, you can please put it up on the chat screen. I will be happy to answer them. Okay. All right. So, okay. I hear hi and other information from people. Yes. Hi, Sanjay. Hi, Uma. How are things going? Okay. So let me move on. To give you an overview, Bodhi is primarily into the business of organization development, and that's primarily what we do. And our primary focus to OD issues in companies is by providing training solutions. Okay, when training is the solution, then a contribution comes into the picture. In fact, recently I was talking to somebody who was telling me about this leather accessories company called High Design. Okay, so High Design is a company which is based out of Pondicherry, and many people do not want to, work in a city like Pondicherry, especially those people from the bigger cities. And that being the case, it's difficult for them to attract the right talent. So in some cases like that, location becomes the primary, problem rather than a lack of training. But when the problem is a lack of training, that's when Bodhi's contribution comes into the picture, and that's when we can really add value to that organization or company. If you can, those of you who just come in, could you please mute yourself? Then you will be able to hear me better. Thank you. Okay. Next is about the kind of work that we do. We have worked with over 500 clients, and we have a very structured, methodical approach to training, which we share with our participants in all our workshops, especially these workshops which are related to train the trainer, or more specifically in this webinar, the master trainer certification. And all the workshops that we conduct are very hands-on and experiential, which means that participants will be getting to do a lot of things and practice a lot of things which they have come there to learn. Okay, and that sort of an approach has worked for us a lot better, rather than getting people to sit back and listen. So even in this webinar, I strongly encourage you to participate. You can ask me what questions you have, and I think we'll answer them as we go along. Uh, we are also an ISO company certified by TUV or TÜV, very elite German body. So all the processes that we have within the organization are based on ISO standards, including the creation, the content, the delivery of workshops, and so on. And in recent times, we've been doing a lot of activities on the social media. So you can search for Bodhi Training on Facebook. You'll be able to find us, Bodhi-Training, and you will get to see some of the things that are going on right now. Okay, so let me begin. How many of you have watched this movie? It's a very popular movie during the 80s, I think. The late 80s, if I, or earlier late 80s, if I remember. It's called 36 Chamber of Chalet, and this is one of the movies that I got reminded of in connection with the master trainer certification. So what happens in the movie is that this guy who you see on the screen, he is he's from a particular village from a where there are a lot of problems. His community is being oppressed and so on. So he travels to the Shaolin temple and he becomes a monk. And in effect, what happens to him is he gets trained, and eventually he becomes a master trainer, and he comes back to his village and he trains all the people from his particular community. So that's roughly the storyline. Yes, I can see some of you saying fantastic movie, and you watched that movie. That's very good. Nice to hear some people from that generation who watched that movie. So yeah, it is a fantastic movie, and that's really what the master trainer certification is like. You will attend the workshop for 5 days and you will get trained not just to be a trainer, but to train other people to train better. And that's something that I want to emphasize. And this is one part of the story. As we plunge in, we will look at other aspects, especially with respect to why should somebody attend the master trainer certification. Okay, all right. I see some of you saying hi, 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 hi. Back to you. Please mute yourselves. Those of you who just attended, who just joined. Thank you. Okay, so why would somebody attend the master trainer certification? Uh, the first important thing is scale, and what I mean by that is, if you're an independent consultant or trainer, there are real limitations as to the number of people who you can train. And say you're doing a very strong one-day workshop or program, in a day you can make a difference and actually impact uh, the lives, and build competency for a maximum of 15 to 20 people. I mean, if you want to really produce something of high quality or deliver something of high quality. Now, what happens in cases where, if you see a lot of the initiatives and dreams that people have, starting from people like, Abdul Kalam to, Marshall Goldsmith and others, they have they like to impact huge numbers of people. Jack Canfield, for example. If you want to do this, it could be quite difficult for you to do this alone. For you to directly talk to the end user, in other words, the participant, and directly train them. So if you're focusing on scale, if you're focusing on making a larger difference, then I think the best way to go would be to become a master trainer. Because what does a master trainer do? The master trainer trains other trainers. So there are many times when companies have come and told us that they have the 1,000 people to be trained. So assuming we are training 20 people a day, we have to do, and many times we don't even do 20 people a day. We do something like 10 to 12 people a day. Okay, we have to do something like close to 100 batches if you want to train those 1,000 people. A better approach has been, especially for the larger companies like TCS, HCL, Hewlett Packard, Infosys, and so on. They will get 10 of the internal training professionals to get trained and certified by us. So that's what master trainers do. You train and certify other trainers to go deliver a program. So your ability lies in not training other people, but training others to go out there and train in turn another group of people and make a difference there. So scale is certainly one thing. Okay, I do have certain questions which are coming here from people. Okay, I'll answer them because they are, you know, not directly related to what I'm talking about right now. Okay. Secondly, there's a stage. This part of the story is what I call now what. There are many trainers who have been in the training space for a long time. In fact, we have also had many of our own certified participants. We have had many people who have been in training for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, and so on. And one of the thoughts that runs through their mind is, look, I can go out there and do a leadership program. I can go out there and do a soft skills program. But now what? What happens next? Where do I go from here? And that is something, that's a question that is really well answered in our master trainer certification workshop. Because what happens in the master trainer is trainers, typically people who are wondering how to go to the next level, a range of things will be showcased and shared with you, where you will really realize what can I do to take my training competence to the next level? How can I move from being a trainer who's just doing run-of-the-mill, once in a while programs to more regular programs? In fact, the next level could also be, in terms of your training fees. There's a clear difference between the kind of training fee a trainer can charge and the kind of training fee that a master trainer can charge, because you're addressing different groups. So that's another dimension of the master trainer. There's a third dimension of master training, which is basically your training expertise. Uh, this is really about this. This is if you like, this is really about pure mastery. And what I mean by pure mastery is how good are you in your area. And we keep telling some of our participants who attended the train the trainer, as well as many experienced trainers who come and meet us from time to time. We end up talking to about 15 to 20 people at least every week who moved into training, or who are just moving into training, or who are considering training as a viable career option, and many who have already done so. And one of the things we realize is that, like we say, there are two components in training. There's a what to train component and there's a how to train component. It is important for you to have a strong expertise in your what to train component. So if you say you're a leadership trainer, how good is your leadership ability? How much do you know about leadership? What is the kind of depth you have? Even in the use of your examples, even in the use of your concepts, even in your ability to apply a concept of leadership in the real world, if you're able to do all this with a good deal of depth, then I think that's when you will become a master trainer. So that certainly is one thing about reaching a level of mastery. Unfortunately, today, people are stuck with what you call, there's a term called shoffer knowledge. Shoffer knowledge is a term used for people who just know about enough to talk about it. And it is sad to see that we have many trainers like that, who just know enough about a topic to talk about it, and maybe they encounter groups who know even less than them in their trainings, so they sort of get by. And I don't think that's a great approach to to training. Okay, I have a question here, and I think this question is relevant and to what I'm saying, so I want to just answer it. This question is from Prakash. Prakash says that, in your estimate, how much time does it take for somebody to reach a level of mastery? Okay. So, Prakash, one is your area of training. I'm afraid that I can't really give you a particular timeline saying that it's going to take you 3 days, 10 days, 1 year, 1.5 year to reach a level of mastery. But I can tell you something. In my experience, I've seen a lot of people who moved into training, especially people who have gotten into a particular area of training which they like. And the people who've done well, even those who got in late, I know some people who entered the training space, when they're about to retire, when in their 50s. And even such people have done extremely well for themselves because they had a huge passion. I remember this gentleman who was in his mid 50s. He came and spoke to me sometime in 2013. And he said he learned a lot of things in his career, first in the army and then, in one or two corporates. And he said there's one thing fundamentally lacking in the workforce, okay, and that is things like discipline, things like accountability. And he was so passionate and driven about that, that it wasn't the time he took to master it, he was already living it. And when you already live something, you automatically become a master. And if you were to also enter something new, my suggestion to you is pick up an area of training that you feel strongly about, that you're passionate about. That is something that's likely to change, the way you feel about the speed at which you become a master at it. Okay, so Prakash, I hope that answers your question. All right, I get a response from you saying thanks. Okay, next. Uh, this is another interesting part of the story, which is really about going to the going to the next level. Now, one aspect of this I already told you is moving from being a trainer of participants to being a trainer of trainers. There's another dimension of moving to the next level, which is if you're a master trainer, the way you're addressing issues becomes different because what happens is there is a tendency to think that if I'm a master trainer, I have to have done 200 programs like that. That's not necessarily so. It's like saying, if I'm an oncologist, I should have had cancer and first recovered myself. Then I can treat other people to, to cure their cancer. It typically does not work like that. So what a master trainer does differently and how he moves to the next level is, like recently we did an assignment for one of our clients. They wanted uh, their trainers to be able to train effectively on an area called strategic thinking. Okay, so that is their requirement. So we went into that company. Okay, this was done by myself and somebody else, and we said, what is it about strategic thinking that you want to train your participants? And then they said, this is what we want to train, and this is how we see ourselves doing it. We have done it in pieces. So we consolidated all that and made that into a 2-day module. Okay, that's the first step we did. Secondly, we got these people to deliver that 2-day module to one sample group, and we got that sample group. This is a group of participants, by the way, and they reached a point where they said the whole company needs strategic thinking because strategy is a big part of their what you call their values and so on. So having the right strategy and having a useful strategy for the customer. So we got them to deliver this, watched them deliver it, and then we told them that this program, if you want to train other people to deliver it well, it has to be improved like this. And then we reworked a lot of the program, and finally we played the role of master trainers to train a group of about 10 people to deliver this program well. And that's something that will take you to the next level. Okay, so this is another dimension of you going to the next level where you can walk into a completely new training area, watch somebody do that training, and then say, this is going well, this is not going well, this is how this training could be improved. That's another sense of mastery and level of mastery that a master trainer should have, and which our workshop focuses on. Okay, next is you know another dimension of next level, which is moving from trainer to an OD consultant, okay, or rather moving from training to organizational development to consulting. Unfortunately, today many trainers, even those with a lot of experience, are trapped in the one training a day, treadmill, where they're doing X number of trainings on a day. Uh, One of the ways for you to go to the next level is to move from just being a trainer to being an organizational development expert. So what this means is, like, for example, if you're a trainer, you would be dealing with clients who are telling you things like this. Next Friday, we want a program on assertiveness. Okay. Monday, can we do a team building program? Now, these are all one-off things, and many times trainers themselves don't know why assertiveness and why not something else. Why train the trainer, or why team building and why not something else? So this is something an organizational development consultant would not do. The OD consultant functions from the next level, where he goes and says, what is the problem that you're facing within your organization? And if you're working as an OD person, the conversations you would be having would be more like, you would have clients telling you things like, we have these two teams, a creative team and a technical team. We just don't talk to each other. We just don't get along well with each other. This is the problem. What do we do? Now, as a solution to that problem, you might decide to do training on team building. You might decide to do a coaching session on communication and so on. That's when you're functioning from the organizational development, uh, you know, yes, that's when you're wearing the organizational development spectacle. And thirdly, when you want to move to consulting, there you might just go there, go to an organization and give inputs on how they could probably ensure growth, how they could change their company culture. You might neither deliver the program, you might neither do the details of the organizational development part of it. You will understand what the company's challenges are and give them solutions and charge for it. I mean, I know some organizational development consultants who charge several $100s per hour. Okay, and it's a norm. So this is certainly one thing that being a master trainer would help you. And what it also does is it helps you very quickly equip people. You need to understand master training is not necessarily always about training trainers. Sometimes it's also about training managers to become a good coach or good mentor. Okay. All right. There's another interesting dimension to this, which is various disciplines and icons. Now, here's what we've done in the Master Trainer certification. We have actually learned and gathered inputs from multiple fields. So, because one of our observations has been that people from different fields bring in interesting ideas, concepts, experiences, competencies, and skills which can be used and which can add value to the field of training. Okay, like recently we saw this. There was this lady who attended our program who was an RJ. So she was a radio jockey for many years, and we just realized that she has some qualities which greatly add value to her training. One quality is she's very entertaining, extremely entertaining. She's almost like a stand-up comedian. Another thing is she's great at modulating her voice because she's used to working in an environment where people don't see her face and only listen to her. Okay. Thirdly, she was very good with, one of the qualities I see in trainers are very good at making up some stories, saying things which are not necessarily true, which they don't know for sure. She was very precise and accurate with her facts and figures. With anything she said, she only said it if she knew for sure that it was a fact, because she was used to being on radio. She couldn't even by accident say something that was not true. And like this, from different disciplines, I'm just giving you this as an example, disciplines like art, theater, and so on, there are lessons to be learned, which we have put together and we will be sharing with our participants in the Master Trainer certification. And certainly also, we've taken lessons from different icons. So we sort of do this with one discipline and one icon in the Train the Trainer so that participants can go back and apply it. Just to give you an example, take an icon like Bill Clinton. There are certain things about the way he speaks, about the way he interacts, the way he, makes something look important and something else look not so important. Many times about his party and the opposition party. There are lessons to be learned from that about how we can do the same thing in training. When we conduct a training, don't you think it would be useful if you can make uh, the concept that you're training on, suppose you're doing a training on strategic thinking, to highlight the importance of strategic thinking as an area compared to something else. And those are some of the things that people can pick up from various icons. So that's certainly another dimension of the, how it could help you move to the next level. Uh, this is something that, in fact, this point is here. B2B, by the way, does not stand for business to business. It stands for back to basics. So I want to, in fact, somebody had just asked a question here. 1 second. Who is that? Okay. So yeah, this is from somebody called Poonam. So Poonam, your question, you had asked a question just a minute ago. Second, yeah, so Poonam's question is here, which says, uh, I have many years of training experience, but I have never been certified as a trainer. So would I miss some things by attending the master trainer certification? So Poonam, this point about B2B is exactly for people like you, and to answer the question that you just asked, which is training as a field itself is very nascent in India. You know, nobody, at least nobody that I know, was growing up thinking that when they grow up they want to become trainers. Many people just got into the field, okay, out of their interest, out of passion, and so on. So, this being the case, there are a lot of people who did not really get certified to become trainers, or did not have a formal qualification in training. However, they moved into the field of training. Okay. Those of you who just joined, could you please mute yourself? Mr. Gurudat, please mute yourself. So there are people who just got into the field of training, and what happens is, you might have been training for many years, but you did not get a formal qualification. This part of the program focuses on going back to the basics and doing a quick review of, do we have some of our fundamentals in place. For example, one fundamental which I constantly highlight is, if you want to be a good trainer, the starting point is for you to think of yourself as a good trainer. Likewise, if you want to be a master trainer, the starting point is to think and believe yourself to be a master trainer. Uh, Secondly, how strongly do you believe in the impact? Do you have strong belief that people can change their lives, or are you the kind who gives up on people? One of the qualities a master trainer should certainly have is that belief, the belief that if there's a person who's on a scale of 1 to 100 on any competency, whether it's communication, language, leadership, management ability, people management, whatever it is, if he's at 50, the first point is for you to believe that even such a person can move to a 90 or a 95 with adequate training, with adequate effort, with a good amount of practice, with guidance in the right direction. And if you have this belief first, you will be able to transfer this belief onto your, you know, trainers who will then go ahead and train others. Okay. Okay. Next, I want to talk a bit about clearing knots. In fact, there are a lot of, one of the things I've noticed in all the trainers who I've spoken with, many of them come with certain, basically, one is they attend a workshop, but they have a lot of questions. Like, we have trained a lot of trainers and made them master trainers, but now we are doing it more formally by conducting a public workshop. And our observation has been that many of these trainers, they uh, they are stuck at some point. For example, okay, they're stuck at some point. Like, I met this trainer recently. He's been doing a lot of communication and soft skills training for different organizations. Now he feels that he he's just not taken seriously when it comes to training senior leadership, vice presidents, CEOs, COOs, CFOs, directors of companies, and so on. And he feels he lacks something. There's something about him that's not making him, reach that spot. And he said he wanted to meet me. I said, okay, let's catch up. And so he came to office, and this. I'm gonna tell you what happened with this particular trainer, but this could not be. This is not a one-stop solution for all trainers who are facing the same problem, because everybody's challenges are different, and the solutions that are required for everybody could be different. So when I spoke to this guy, he said, I get really good feedback, and I'm able to do very interesting programs. I keep innovating, changing. All those things are true. But the point is, every 3 or 4 months, I get an opportunity to do a senior leadership program, and it doesn't go well. Why do you think this happens? Now, when I spoke to him, I realized two things. I mean, of course, I'm greatly simplifying my interaction with him. It was a 1.5 hour long conversation, and after that conversation, uh, we realized two things. One big thing is there was this doubt in his head, first of all, that am I good enough to train senior leadership? Because whenever he stood in front of a group of CEOs or vice presidents or directors, he felt that they were much better than him. And that sort of came out in the way he spoke, acted, walked, talked, everything. That's one thing. The second thing which happened was uh, he did not give adequate credit for his level of expertise in the subject. He felt that what he knows uh, is good, but it's not great. And believe me, he was partially right because what he knew wasn't the best. I mean, his depth of knowledge wasn't great. So he started working on these two areas. We did a couple of exercises where he first sat and wrote down what does he have to offer, which will really add value to anybody at any level. Okay. Secondly, he really went back and did a lot of research, and he did another certification program, and he did a lot of work on his area of specialization. When he finished these programs, it got him to rub shoulders with other people in the industry who are doing similar work. That really helped him measure himself against other people who are supposed to be trainers in the same area, and he realized how much better he was. And this immediately knocked that idea out of his head that he's probably not good enough. With these two changes, when he did the next program after some time, it made a huge difference. And he was more, first of all, a lot of things in his mind had changed. And this obviously came across effectively when he stood in front of a group. And secondly, he'd also become more competent. He actually genuinely become more competent as a person in his area of specialization. So my point is that each person has a lot of knots like this, areas where they're stuck. With the amount of experience that we have in Bodhi, having met so many trainers, and we have a pool of about 50 to 60 trainers across the country. We constantly talk to them, interact with them. In fact, to be honest, we are also filtering some of those trainers and pushing out the people who are not good enough and bringing in new blood, a new influx of trainers who are really excellent. So all this teaches us a lot of lessons about what trainers are going through and what would help them move to the next level. And that is something that certainly will be shared with you in the master trainer certification. Okay, uh, so that's about B2B, and the last part is about experience and insights. So uh, I want to sort of connect this with what I just said, which is having interacted with so many trainers, having worked with so many trainers and organizations, there are a lot of insights that we've gathered. For example, one big insight I can share with you right away is clients make a decision on whether to go ahead with the trainer or not to a great extent based upon how the trainer comes across in the meeting or the demo session. So, for example, if you say you're an excellent trainer when it comes to planning and organizing or time management, that's an area of specialization. Great. And you could be really excellent at it. But when you go for a meeting, when the client says, I would like to meet your trainer tomorrow, when you go there, if you're not impressive, and when I say impressive, I'm not talking about just impressive in time management. I'm not talking about you reaching there on time because you're a time management trainer. Okay, that's one thing, but the larger thing is how impressive you are as a person in terms of how you look, how you walk, how you talk, how you're dressed. Okay, what are your mannerisms? What is the quality of your communication? What is the intensity of your intellectual rigor? What are the kind of ideas you bring onto the table? These things become far more important to actually help you close that deal. So the point is that this is just one insight. Like this, there are several more insights that we have access to because we have learned these lessons from our own clients. And I remember going for a meeting with this with a trainer, and the person who we were meeting, he's from the University of California in Berkeley, and he works as he heads the L&D for a company in Bangalore. And I took the trainer for the meeting, and when I take a trainer for the meeting, I try my best to shut up and say less because I want the trainer to be impressive. So what happened was this guy started. His name was I don't recall his exact name. Let's just call him. In fact, I don't want to mention his exact name. That's the truth. Okay, let's just call him Praveen. Okay. Now, uh, what happened was this guy, the trainer, he spoke to him and said his name was say Praveen Prakash or Praveen Pradeep or something like that. He said, "Oh, Mr. Praveen Pradeep is your name. I saw this movie by Anupam Kher in." Which came out long back. In that, his name was Praveen, or I saw this movie by Amal Palekar or something like that. And immediately I could see the reaction on this guy's face saying that this trainer has come for a meeting to talk about a session on lateral thinking. And he's starting the conversation by talking about Anupam Kher, talking about Amal Palekar. It didn't create the right, it didn't start on the right foot. But then the rest of the meeting sort of proved to me that perhaps we had already lost our chance to make that first impression. And as expected, we did not get that program. Now, the point that I'd like to highlight is the way you come across, what you say is extremely important in as an insight. All right. So I want to now share with you some actual tools and tricks that master trainers use, and I'm sure you've already during the course of this webinar you've already picked up many of them. I'd like to share some more of them with you, which will help you move your training abilities to the next level because our 5-day master trainer certification workshop is packed with them. But having blocked your time to come here and learn something new, I want to add more value to that. Uh, okay, just a minute. I see some questions here. Okay. Okay, there are a couple of questions. I will answer them. Uh, in fact, there is a question here by Madhu. Okay, Mr. Madhusudan, the question you have asked is how important is how much light. Okay, how important is I think what you mean is how important is it to focus on the important areas of training and how much light can you okay fine I get it. So Madhu's question is that you know so Madhu, the reason I'm answering your question now is it's related to what I'm going to say. Madhu asks how important is it to focus on the specific area of training compared to doing a good training in different areas. So Madhu, I'm guessing the reason you're asking this is sometimes when you go and talk to a client, especially some very junior HR managers, HR executives, or L&D, professionals, they themselves don't have a very clear idea as to what are problems within the company. So they say they want their project management team trained, and you say great, and you start asking some questions as to what are problems with the project management team. Okay, what are challenges that they're facing? What do you want to develop? What competencies would you like to build? What would you like to see different at the end of this training? And they don't really have concrete answers. Well, the fact is that you can do your best to uncover them, to fact find, to understand what is the burning issue underlying this company's problems. In the absence of not being given that information, okay, then I think it's a good idea for you to go with something which is slightly general, where you say that, okay, overall, the only thing I'm getting from this conversation with this lady is that they need to be better in terms of work effectiveness and in terms of interacting with each other. So I will make sure these are well covered within the session. But there are occasions where it is crystal clear. So Madhu, if you have a conversation with the client and the stakeholder tells you, I want to do something for the project management team with respect to effective interaction, with respect to interacting with clients and especially clients from different cultures. And I'm talking about only two cultures here. I'm talking about the American culture and the German culture because these are the only two places where we have clients and we interact with. Now, if that is how specific the requirement is, it would be rather silly for us to design a training program which is more general. So it's important to focus on that specific area. So coming back to what you see on the slide, there's something called the weakest link approach. Uh, I urge all of you to ask yourself this question. You know, look at yourself as a trainer and ask yourself. You don't have to answer this or put this on the chat screen, by the way, but just ask yourself, what is your weakest link? What is that one thing that's really holding you back from being the best trainer or master trainer in India right now? If you identify many things in your mind, pick out what is most critical. Okay, and that's really what the weakest link approach is about. If you go to, if you're speaking with an individual or a team or an organization overall with its representatives, asking them the right questions and finding out what is really the burning issue within that organization and what is that one area if you fix, a lot of other things will fall in place. Okay, like recently I was talking to a team, actually the HR head and two members of that team, okay, two of the managers of that team. This is a company in Kolkata, and I realized that that team has other issues, like the language is not great, the motivation is not so high, okay, not too happy with their salaries, and the other component is also that they were incompetent in their core area of work. And I realized that out of all these things, the biggest factor is which was wanting their was their motivation. And if they were motivated enough, they would have actually picked up the competencies, done the other things right. So it is important that you identify the weakest link, because fixing that would well give you the uh, you could in the shortest possible time address the problem. Okay, all right. Okay, I'd like to ask you this question. This is another tool or technique that master trainers use, and I want to hear some responses for it. You can put your answers on the chat screen. What does this image mean to you? I'll give you 30 seconds, and you can put your answers on the chat screen. You can look at this image, see what it means to you, and type out your answers. Okay, I see Seema Bakshi saying ink splat. Hey Seema, how are you doing? Mirror images. Okay, just waiting to hear some others. Okay, I see a personal message here. It's saying, okay, two ladies dancing. All right. I see Uma saying mirror images. Okay. I see Madhu saying it's an animal's face. Okay, yeah, it could look like an animal's face. Okay. Somebody saying women exulting. Okay. There's another person who's saying something spilled. Okay. All right, let me stop there. Okay, there's one more. Jyoti saying multitask capability. Okay, okay, fine. All right, thank you for that. We also have J.A. Shah who says modern art. Okay, so let me stop there. Thanks for your responses. Now, this is what exactly what I mean by clarity. The As a master trainer, one of the things that I mean, even as a trainer, one of the things that you need to strongly be working on is the clarity of your communication. Your communication should not be like this. In fact, this is a very popular uh, test called the ink blot test. You can check it out on the internet. It's a psychological instrument to assess a person and what they're thinking and so on. So it should not be like an ink blot test where 10 people look at it and you get 10 different responses, or they understand it differently. So we had responses like modern art, something splash, women exulting, animals face, and so on. Ideally, your communication should be like this. Now, I'm not going to ask you what this is. There's absolute clarity that it's a square and it's a square. Okay, or it's a box and it's a box. there should not be any debate in terms of what you're saying, what is the message that you're trying to put across, what is it and what it is not, okay, and more importantly, what is the intensity with which you're saying it. I mean, clarity is not just about the message, but also clarity in terms of the way you're saying it. It should be very clear that you're saying something seriously. It should be very clear that you're saying something as a joke. It should be, I mean, you can't possibly be cracking a joke in the room. And I keep telling participants about one of the trainers who was speaking to me some time back and saying that, she did a program in one of the government organizations, which I don't want to name, where in between there was some joke that was cracked, and she told the participant, oh God, I'm going to kill you. But she probably did not say it right because later it became a big issue, and there was a complaint raised saying that the trainer said she's going to kill a participant. So you should be crystal clear as to when it is to be taken lightly, when it is to be taken lightly, and when it is to be taken seriously. What are the important parts of the program, and when are you just chit chatting? Okay, so that's about clarity, um, and I want to wrap up this story by giving you one more point because I'm happy to take some questions after this. Any more questions? I don't see any right now, but if you do have any more questions about master trainer certification, how it could help you in terms of why you should do it and so on, I'm happy to answer them. I look forward to seeing your questions on the chat screen. In the meantime, let me um, highlight this extremely important point, which is, does your talk match your walk? And this is a big concern in the training industry today, where we have more people who, shall we say, aren't walking the talk. And what I mean by that is, if if you go out there and say you're a language trainer, good morning, okay, people are going to instantly start watching your language. Your language better be excellent in terms of grammar, in terms of sentence structures, in terms of accent, diction, in terms of subject-verb agreement, in terms of choice of words, because you're saying you're a language trainer. And the same thing applies for many other things. Unfortunately, in areas like language, in areas like, for example, communication, in areas like leadership, this becomes very blatant. Like recently, somebody was, who attended our workshop, said that he wants to be a leadership trainer, and I said, and this guy was really a fresher. I said you should start becoming a leadership trainer in the sense that start doing leadership training programs, but parallelly, what I encourage you to do is to practice leadership in your life. You've got to be practicing and that is something that will not only teach you a lot of things, it will make you a far better trainer. It will make you more reliable, it will build greater credibility for yourself as a trainer. Okay, and one of the challenges these days is, many people in the industry, including some popular people. Okay, like I was listening to a talk by Dr. Wayne Dyer, who spoke about his son being an alcoholic and him dealing with that, and so on. Now, when that's the sort of message that you give out, people will tend to question that. Okay, so my suggestion to you is, whatever you claim as your training area, make sure you're extremely good at it. Make sure you are not just practicing but living what you preach. Okay, if this seems like a difficult ordeal, my suggestion to you is to pick a training area which you already, which comes to you naturally. Don't pick something which you yourself don't stand for. For example, if you pick something like purpose in life, okay, or life direction, and I mean, I met somebody who was doing that, who just quit his job, and he wants to become a trainer to give other people direction in life. And I said, that's great. I think this is a good thing. And I asked him some questions about how strongly do you feel and so on. He he was a trainer just for 2 months. After that, he said, "I'm tired of this. I want to do something else." I said, "Okay." Then he said he's not clear about that either. Now, imagine somebody like that who themselves have no clear direction in life, no purpose, jumping from one field to the other, doing training programs on purpose in life. So, I'm sure all of us have wonderful things about ourselves. Okay, if you want to do an exercise, send out a message to 10 of your closest friends, but somebody who can be honest with you, not somebody who will say something to you just to make you feel good. Somebody who will be honest with you, who's comfortable being honest with you. Pick 10 such people from your circle, from your closest circle of friends or relatives. Send them a message asking them what they think is your biggest virtue. What is that big quality, that amazing quality that you have and that you live and that you demonstrate? And also ask them what they think is your biggest vice. What is that most lousy quality that you have as a person? Okay, wait to hear their responses. And the last time I suggested this to somebody who came and met us, neither our PTT participant, neither one of our trainers, but just somebody who was exploring training. She tried this exercise, and I told her this, and she left office. I got a call the next day afternoon, and she said, "Oh, you know what? I wanted to thank you for that exercise yesterday." I said, "Oh, really? What happened?" And she said she sent out this message, okay, and what she realized out of the messages she said 8 out of 10 people said, okay, that she's really good at connecting with people and they're comfortable telling her things about their life, you know, and this made her think about things like interpersonal effectiveness, things like building rapport, things like connecting with people, understanding people, empathy. These were qualities which she very naturally had. And I think you're better off becoming a trainer in those areas rather than trying to, when your own interpersonal skills are down the drain, trying to become an interpersonal skills trainer. And somebody who themselves doesn't have any friends because their interpersonal skills need great help. So pick up an area about yourself, and I strongly believe that all of us have really wonderful things in our lives which we can tap into and access. If not, if that's difficult for you to spot, at least pick an area that you're hugely passionate about, that you feel really strongly about, and that you have great need to know about, learn about, talk about, and impart to others. And something which, one of the things that, I've read many times in self-help books is that pick something that you really love to do. And if you do that for the next 5 to 10 years, you don't have an option but to be successful. It's just a natural outcome of it. The danger is when you pick something and that thing changes tomorrow, and then again 6 months later that changes again, and so on. Pick something that you're so passionate about and you're genuinely passionate about. Don't pick something because somebody else thinks it's cool, or somebody else thinks has made money through it, or it's the buzzword these days, or it's most talked about on social media, or it's the trending topic. You should pick something that you internally genuinely feel strongly about. And there are opportunities, all kinds of trainings. All kinds of trainings are huge opportunity. So, folks, I think that's about what I have to say. I do have one or two more questions here. I have a question here, okay, from Arvind. Okay, so Arvind says that right now I am a soft skills trainer and I'm not sure on which area of soft skills should my focus be driven. Okay, fine. So Arvind's basic question is he's a soft skills trainer and he's wondering which aspect of training soft skills uh, to focus on. Okay, so Arvind, here's what I have to say to you. One important thing is that I'm glad that you are a soft skills trainer, and I don't know how long you have been a soft skills trainer, but if the question to ask yourself is soft skills training what I really want to do? Because unfortunately today, many people are doing jobs and they haven't really stopped to ask themselves if that job is really what they want to do in life. Okay, yeah. So Arvind, I see that you've written here that you've been a trainer for 7 years. That's good. So if in 7 years, if you've been doing soft skills training, I'm sure these are some things to look at. One is, which are some of the trainings that you most enjoyed doing? Okay, where you're looking forward to wake up the next day because you have that training. In the same token, do look at which are the trainings that you uh, don't enjoy much, where you feel like it's sort of burden to do those trainings. Secondly, I'd like you to look at where have you got, one is you enjoying it, where have you produced the best results, okay? And you go back and talk to, I mean, 7 years is a pretty long time. I think you should go back and talk to some of your clients and find out which of your programs, and maybe you already have found out, I don't know, which of your programs have produced the best results. And this is, thanks for asking that question, Arvind, because this is useful feedback for all the other trainers in this group. Look at which of your programs have produced the best results. Okay, and the third thing to look at is there commonality in the programs that you have done over the years, because sometimes even without the trainer's knowledge, you start off by saying I'm a soft skills trainer, but because of the way you are, the way your interest lies, without your knowledge you drift towards a particular area, you know. And I met some trainers who told me that. They said, I started off as a soft skills trainer with no specific focus. But I don't know how, in the past 2, 3 years, my specialization has become, customer service. My specialization has become negotiation. My specialization has become this. So sometimes, of course, it is not as automatic as it seems. It's because of what you like, it's because of what you communicate to the client, it's because of what the client feels you would be good at, and so on. So I urge you to look at that, and if you look at your whole, what you say, plethora of trainings, and you see that some of your best trainings are uh, business communication, interpersonal skills, communication effectiveness, email writing, listening skills, all this is basically saying communication. So that might well be your best and strongest area. Okay, so that's something that I suggest to you. Okay, let me very quickly just take this question. We have about 2 minutes to go. Okay, I have a question here from Priyanka. So, okay, so Priyanka says that okay, let me just delete the name of your company, Priyanka. Okay, so let me just rephrase Priyanka's question. So Priyanka works for as a training manager for a company. Okay, and the question is, will the master trainer certification benefit me? And because I don't get too many opportunities to train trainers. So Priyanka, as I was mentioned, I mean, I think you joined a little late, but as I was mentioning in the beginning, the master trainer certification is directed at people who are going to train trainers, and that comes with certain perks, certain huge perks, in terms of quality of work, in terms of moving to the next level, in terms of with respect to competence, in terms of how much you can charge, in terms of paving a way to becoming a successful organizational development consultant. Yes, if you have no opportunity to train trainers, then you might not be using part of the program, to be honest. Okay. However, from the point of view of developing mastery, it will help you. From the point of view of becoming a better trainer, it will help you. Okay. And from the point of view of moving from just training to ensuring learning for your whole organization, it will help you. And I see which organization you are from, and I am aware that you guys do a lot of training. Okay, so from that point of view, it's going to certainly help you. Okay. I have the suggestion I have for you, Priyanka, is to also take a look at our train the trainer certification. Maybe that program might just be adequate for you. Okay, so you can take a look at that. All right, so folks, I think that's pretty much what I have to say. Okay, let me just take one more question. There's one question here. Okay, again from Arvind. Okay, yeah. So Arvind, when are we doing the program? We have 3 programs happening, Arvind. Uh, Let me just quickly give you the dates of the upcoming programs. So the first program is happening in September. Okay, so September 7th to 10th is the Bangalore Master Trainer Certification. Then the next program which is happening is also in September. It's happening from September 21st to 25th. Okay. And after that, the next which is happening is in October. Okay, by the way, 21st, September 21st to 25th is Mumbai, and Delhi is in October 5th to October 9th. So the three programs, Bangalore 7th to 10th, 7th to 11th actually, Mumbai 21st to 25th, and Delhi is 5th to 9th. Okay, so those are the programs which are happening. If you do have any other questions, I'm happy to answer them. Yeah, I think thanks for that. Who's that? Ben. I think a member of our team, Mr. Ben, has just put up the dates there. You can look at it. Okay. So thank you very much for your time. I think we overshot time by 1 minute by the time I looked into my calendar. Okay. So it was nice having all of you here. I look forward to seeing you at the Master Trainer certification in case you decide to come. And if not, I'll see you at the next webinar. Do get in touch with our team members. Their numbers are here in case you would like to, attend the workshop. Thank you very much. Have a great day and have a good week ahead. This is Vinesh Kumaran signing off. Thank you.